All right, guys, let's see if we're live here. Let me know how everything sounds, how everything looks here. Should be live, and I believe there we are. There we are. Guys, this is hands down, I'm gonna call it right here, the absolute strongest Title Tuesday event that we have ever had on Chess.com. I'm looking at the pre-registered list, guys, and I see Magnus Carlsen there. I see Hikaru Nakamura there. I mean, I see Fabiano Caruana, Grandmaster Wesley So. I mean, this is unprecedented, really. This is clearly the strongest Title Tuesday event we've ever had. So I am so excited to be bringing you guys the action here on Chess.com. We'll definitely be sticking with Magnus as much as we can, but honestly, there's so many top players to mention here. We got guys who are 2600 rated who don't even make the top 20 here at Title Tuesday. Dlugi, Naroditsky, MVL, Wesley So, Caruana, Hikaru, Magnus Carlsen. Going down the list, guys, Shimanov, Sujirov, Dmitry Andreikin. I mean, there's too many names, guys. I cannot mention everything, but we will start by following the games. Let's see round one here. There it is. And that is Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen. Playing with the black pieces here. This is the first time Magnus Carlsen has ever played in a Title Tuesday. Meanwhile, guys, let me know, chess.com/TV. I'm following along. Send me your comments. Let me know who you guys think is the favorite to win in this absolutely stacked tournament, and also let me know how the sound is. Make sure we're sounding good here. I'm also following along on twitch.tv/chess, so definitely stay interactive, guys. I will be looking for your comments, but let's get honestly right into the action here. We got Magnus Carlsen playing black here against International Master Angry Serb. So we got an Angry Serb here against Carlsen in the first round. And guys, this is a pretty big deal because apart from the Blitz battles, this is an extremely rare public appearance for Magnus Carlsen. Playing online on a public account, that's a very big deal. It's always a big risk for a guy like him because that's actually him saying that it's him playing on his account. There's no anonymity here, so if he loses a game, that there's all the glory and pain from his side that comes with it. So a lot's on the line here for Magnus Carlsen. First Title Tuesday ever. He's clearly the highest rated player. I guess we have to say he's the favorite. I mean, never count a guy like Nakamura out, who's won the Title Tuesday event many times. And there's definitely some specialists here, but Magnus Carlsen, from what we've seen in the Blitz battles, this guy is completely capable of competing in the online chess scene, which is really the only question that we would have is, how would that obvious dominance from standard and classical chess translate to over-the-board, bullet chess, stuff like that. But he showed, especially against his match with Hikaru, that he could hang with some of the very best in terms of online play, rapid speed chess, and even blitz and bullets. So going back to the game here, though, we have Magnus Carlsen. He's playing black. It looks to me like I really like his position here. I'm looking at the d3 pawn. I'm a little concerned about this, but my next move is probably bishop to f7, and might consider a move like king h8, knight e7, c5, maybe even knight a5 if I need to kick the queen off that diagonal. So I really like black's position here, actually, just because this pawn looks like a permanent weakness, and the only way that I know how to get rid of this is to play the move d4. But it looks like Magnus has consolidated here, and there we go, guys. How do we defend this pawn? So essentially I'm expecting probably bishop f1, bishop there, and then knight e4. That looks like the only way. And black does want to be careful about playing the move f5. If he plays f5 in this position, that e-pawn becomes a lot weaker and becomes a liability, something to deal with, something to defend. So I don't think Magnus is interested in doing that at all. What I would expect from him is trying to get the move c5 in. I think if he gets that, positionally speaking, I think he would be very happy. Maybe something like knight e7. I don't think you want to play this move while knight g5 is available, although it looks like rook f8 is hinting that the current world champion wants to play f5. Very fast play from Magnus so far. Good to see that. The only way I can really see him going down, I mean, simply the strongest player in the world is if the clock becomes a factor. And believe me, guys, the clock is a factor. So absolutely crazy to see Magnus here. I hope you guys are enjoying. We got 9 rounds of 3+2 action here. So definitely stick around, guys. This is going to be a fireworks episode for sure. We're probably going to see Nakamura play Carlsen. We're probably going to see clashes between Wesley So and Magnus Carlsen, who people are saying, you know, online chess aside, you know, Wesley and Caruana, these guys are maybe the 2 next guys who are going to challenge Magnus Carlsen. So, you know, when that debate comes into play, all of a sudden we have some really important matchups for the future of chess. So I am just so excited. You guys can probably tell I've never had this much energy as a commentator. So I'm loving the action so far. I hope you guys are as well. Again, Magnus is playing so fast here. Look at the time. Does it even matter what moves you're playing as white? Is my question. H6 is stopping knight g5 is what I was saying. And after f5, f4, now the move knight g5 not available. f5 kicks the knight to d2, and opening the position feels risky, guys, because you're not even developed here. These 2 pieces are just not playing the game. That h-pawn is a goner. Magnus has barely used a minute here. Is this material odds show? I think I usually do that show, but Magnus is doing some time odds stuff to start us off here. I mean, that's just a free pawn, and okay, this might be the most crushing game of the round. Although I see that MVL has actually won his game already. I don't know if that was a forfeit win or if he delivered maybe the fastest victory I've ever seen in a Title Tuesday. I don't know about that. All right, tricky. If you take either pawn, we had bishop e6, winning the game, but I don't think that tactic is enough for Magnus to fall for. Got Danny Wrench in the chat, Fabi, Wesley, Hikaru, and then in comes Magnus. Yeah, I know this is actually insane right now. From a chess fan perspective, I don't think it gets better than that. Reminder, guys, there's just one Title Tuesday this week, so it really just reminds us, you know, just how important this one is, because there's no late edition. But on the contrary, the prizes have been increased, so these guys are playing for more money, and there's also a lot more pressure because there's only going to be one qualifier this month. But don't forget, in April we have 4 Title Tuesdays in the month, because Chess.com members get a chance to qualify for the Speed Chess Championship, which has just been announced. And we might see just game over with knight e3 here. There it is. That's going to be a resignation. Magnus Carlsen, game over, round 1. All right, let's go to the next game. I'm going to fix the screen for you guys there. Okay, we got Nakamura in here against, I believe this is Alexander Katz, Crypto Chess. I've seen his username, and I tune in and it's just over. I was going to say I've seen his username in the Pro Chess League. So, International Master from the US goes down here in the first round. And honestly, guys, I have so many games that I could watch right now. I just recognize all of the players that I see here. So who do we have next? Next top game right now. Still in round 1. Lots of games still going. We've got Daniel Naroditsky. He's won the Title Tuesday before as well. And it looks like here he's going to grind down an endgame. What, knight takes e5? Yeah, no, this should be a trivial win, I think, for Daniel. I wonder what do you do here? Do you play knight f3? Probably not, huh? Knight f3, then maybe bishop g2. And bishop c8, I think, is a huge mistake, allowing the king to c7. And now there's going to follow knight d7, king d6, and that's lights out. Or just king d6 right now. And there we go. So knight takes, and then knight e4. And you kick the king out, knight e4, knight f6, and then king d6. Black has no worries. That's an easy conversion as well. All right, I'm going to leave that game. That looks like Daniel Naroditsky has that one wrapped up. Who else do we have? Let's take a look at Grandmaster Dlugi, over 2,700 in Blitz. That's a strong rating. And it looks like here knight f2, forcing rook takes f2. because of the well-known smothered mate with knight f3 or knight h3, queen g1. I think every chess player has to know that one. Queen e7 and stopping queen e1. Actually, we have to think here for a minute. Ooh, we can't take that pawn though. King f8. How's he going to defend that pawn though, guys? Interesting. Oh, this is a repetition actually. Yeah, that's a repetition. Wow. Dlugi. The more that I look at this position though, that's not so easy. Let's take a step back. Queen e7. Was there anything here? Maybe not, huh? Yeah. Wow. That's surprising. Maybe that was just a repetition on the board. Well, that's maybe a disappointing result for Dlugi playing against Grandmaster Fishbein from the United States as well. But let's keep the action going here. Round 1 coming to a close, but this is actually the most that we've had, most players that we've had in a Title Tuesday as well. It looks like, oh, this could be a huge upset as well. We have the chess bra here in action. Oh, that's a hanging pawn there. That wasn't necessary. 2 bishops against 2 knights. I was going to say there's a pawn extra for black. That could have been an upset, but a big blunder there by the National Master. And, ooh, do you want to put the knight on the side of the board like that? I'm a little skeptical. We'll see if the 2 bishops can hang with the 2 knights here. As Eric Hansen against National Master Gumersindo is trying to give us a bishop clinic. Ooh, do you take that? I wonder. Because the question is, can we run this way? And well, like I was saying, guys, the bishop's just cutting the knight off. This could be this could be done. The knight can't move, guys. You're basically playing down a piece. No, this is as soon as the knight went to h4, I was cautioning against doing that, and there you go. There you go. That's what you do. You trap that knight on the side of the board, guys. Let's take a look at this game. Fix the board as well. There we go. Sebastian, who I believe is Grandmaster Lenny Dominguez Perez from Cuba, very strong player who recently started playing on Chess.com, which is always nice. I think they call him the scientist for just his. He's got the glasses on. He's got this trademarked style that he likes to play those very, very small plus positions that only a computer and a cyborg human would like, and he plays them to perfection. So he gets that moniker from that. Basically, he's got a drawn endgame here, 3 against 2. We know our endgame's enough to know that 1 pawn is not enough to win. However, this is Blitz, guys. So we'll see if he can manage to pull this one out. I'm going to stick with this one because this might be the last game of the round, but just to update you guys on the standings, no surprises. Wesley So won his game. Nakamura won his game. Carlsen, basically everyone that we expect. Caruana, MVL. So doesn't look like any big upsets in the first round. But seriously, guys, as I'm scrolling down this list, people are like 25th and 30th seeded and still rated over 2,600. So this is really crazy to see so many strong players out in one event. So Title Tuesday looks like it's going to be a good one. We're watching Grandmaster Dominguez, see if he can pull this one out, but it doesn't look like he's making any progress here. The games are wrapping up here in the first round. Still first round out of 9. Again, 3+2. So there's no winning on time in a position like this. That's why 3+2 is a good time of control. You get that nice kind of chess where no one's flagging each other, and you're trying to focus on good chess, good moves, good chess. And if white wins this, it's not going to be. Ooh, do you play g5 here? Okay, took with the king. I was going to say g5 might be an idea if you take with the pawn. But right before black got away with a 50-move draw, it looks like white plays g4. So I think we're going to be sticking with this one for a while. Most of the games have wrapped up. But yeah, this is almost the last game in round 1 here. And I can tell you guys, I am really happy to be commentating, but oh man, I would have liked to play this one as well. So if you're a title player and you're not playing this, I'm telling you, you're missing out right now. You are missing out. So f4. Basically, I'm wondering what white's idea is if black just stays here. Eventually, we'll have to bring the rook down. Okay, we're going to see a check because black is threatening to play rook to g1. And okay, probably check and then rook g1. Or sorry, check and rook g3. But essentially, I won't give too much commentary here, guys, because this is a drawn position, and we don't have to look at it too much. We're just wondering if White is able to pull off the miracle. So probably h4. Yeah, just run that pawn. We're gonna see White try to confuse Black, but you always put the king on f8. Always king f8. I wouldn't worry about losing your pawn because we all know the Philidor technique, putting the rook on a6 and sit back and earn your draw. So I wonder if he's going to do things that way. That would be the simplest, I think. Maybe push the pawn here. I'm in the mood to just push the pawn and get the rook to a6. That's what I think should be played. Because hang on, in this position, like, how does he even stop the pawn? He might just have to go for some kind of perpetual there, or maybe check and then rook d3. Ooh, I would have gone check and rook d3. That seemed to be good, but okay. This one, rook d3, h2, rook h3. There's nothing happening here. I mean, it's really, really impossible to lose as Black now that you've got your pawn one square from queening. Yeah, no, really, T. Watching is nice too. You're right. If you're playing, then you're not able to watch all of the games that are going on, and that would be a real shame. So yeah, I think these guys might agree to a draw here, but if they don't, unfortunately, that's more time that we're wasting here. But we'll wait for this one to get agreed. BJH in chat, how you doing? Kirkwood Chess there as well, of course. VSim. How are you doing, guys? Okay, let's have the handshake. Time's getting low for Black. Maybe he'll give up his pawn because he's interested in making a draw that way. But I mean, this should be pretty routine, I think. Ooh. Okay, never mind. He has this move. Got a little scared about the mate, but okay. Must have been the same position a few times by now. I know how it feels though, being the higher rated player in round one. You're willing to do anything to take a draw, to avoid a draw, and it looks like that's what's happening here. But no, I don't think White's gonna manage this one. I think maybe around round 3, then we'll really start to get the critical matches between the top players in the tournament. I don't think we'll get those next round, but assuming that all the top players maintain their perfect scores, I think we're definitely in for a chaotic round 3 with some very, very big games. Finally agreed to a draw. It's a good thing I stuck with that one. I had a feeling that was going to be the last game of the round, and oh, hang on. Is that not the last game of the round? What could go longer than that? Oh, geez. Wow, and I show up here and actually it's winning. What happened? So they were playing this position for a while? But I show up and then Black's just winning, so oof, that looks like a big win there for that's Grandmaster Van Foreest from the Netherlands, recently played in the Wykense Challengers group, also a member of the Montreal Chess Bros in the Pro Chess League. So there you go, Yoppie 2 showing that Chess Bra technique, and some pretty big matchups in round 2, although not the big ones we're looking for. Let's check out Magnus Carlsen here with the white pieces. Highest rated 2967. That's just crazy. That is just crazy. I will try to keep you guys posted about any big upsets in the tournament, but so far I haven't seen anything too bad. Okay, is that d4 start? But we've turned this into some sort of modern opening. We're going to see knight c3. Usually it's a big advantage when White doesn't have to play the move c4. So if we compare that to King's Indian position, where the pawn is on c4, this should be considered just a big advantage. We might see a4 here. Either a4 or just bishop back to d3 or e2. And he has gone a4. So if Black plays a6, White will bring the bishop back and probably play knight to c4. I wouldn't be surprised to see h3 here, but another move might be bishop e2. Black wants to give up the light square bishop, play in the dark squares. But again, without that pawn on c4, it's a lot less targets for the black army here. So we might see what, knight c7, knight d7. That seems reasonable. Knight c7 to kick the bishop back, and then knight d7 to try to play knight e5. If I'm Magnus Carlsen here, though, I might bring my bishop all the way back to f1. We might see queen d1 here. There it is. Queen d1. This knight will be kicked out by the move c3 eventually, but until then, it's really on black to show what's happening here. We might see bishop f1 here, and there we go. Queen f1 and bishop f1. Those moves might be surprising to some of you, but I guess the reason I'm able to predict those moves, although they're both very backwards developing moves, is because in this position, white has a lot of time. It's a fixed structure. Black's not in any interest to open things up quickly. White wants to maybe put his bishop over here, g3, h4, but his main plan is that he wants to play c3, kick this knight out, and I'm assuming his next move is going to be some sort of knight move, maybe knight b5, a3, c4, some do-si-do with the knight, or hang on, how's he going to deal with this pawn now? Maybe he doesn't care about it. Let's see. You might see a queen move, queen b1 or queen c1, and I do not think the idea is bishop h6, but we'll see. I'm pretty sure he wants to move the knight and go for c3. So basically that move is the same idea as b5, that he wants to play knight e3 or knight a3 and end up on that c4 square. And basically we're going to see a clinic, guys, with two bishops. That's what I think we're in for. e6, okay, opening the position for the bishops. You can't complain about that if you're white. c3, knight a6, and I think in that position you want to take on e6, although actually, even if you let black take, you take with the knight, that's still a fantastic position. So what is black thinking about right here? The knight only has one square, unless I'm missing something. Yeah, no, I was wondering what's going on. So he does take, and I expect maybe g3, h4, bishop h3 looks reasonable. Bishop g5 or bishop f4 also looks very good. e6 is a tough move to play, guys. Grandmaster Samolo from is that Egypt, I believe? Egypt, yeah. I don't know who this grandmaster is. I don't recognize the name, but this looks like he's going to be in for a tough ride on the light squares there. For example, how do we defend this pawn? Maybe a move like knight here or knight back. Okay, knight e5. I was going to say maybe knight e3, almost not wanting to trade, but Magnus looks like he's going to keep his two bishops, and a move we might see in this position is just knight e5 if allowed. So I would consider knight f7 as black. Keep the pieces on the board. I feel like taking on c4 simplifies in white's favor. Ooh, this is definitely in white's favor. I'm so surprised he didn't take that knight, guys. Knight takes, pawn takes is the worst structure I've seen, and you keep your two bishops. So I'm a little surprised there, but I guess he sees the target on d6, and he knows that there's no way that black can defend it. So we're gonna see probably knight takes knight here, and bishop f8. No, interesting. Knight b8. Well, if bishop here, there's always bishop f6. But it's definitely something to consider. Bishop g5, bishop f6. There's not knight e5, but we could take on d6 and play f4 and e5. Yeah, that looks reasonable. And knight f7, guys, thwarted by, knight takes e8, attacking the queen as well. Maybe that's what he missed, I'm not sure. But he wants to stop Magnus from playing f4 here. Black is going to play g5, I can guarantee that. So basically, if black doesn't play rook f8 there, he's in trouble. And yes, the whole game is about playing the move f4. So Magnus wastes no time in playing it. I wonder what his idea is after queen takes. What is he up to? Oh, sorry, that pawn is just hanging there. There you go. That pawn is just hanging, and these knights are looking a bit misplaced. Knight takes c5. And, unfortunately, this defends the pawn on e4, attacks the pawn on e6, and Magnus is just up two connected pass pawns. This is just over, it feels like. Ooh, careful now. This rook is almost trapped there as well. If you play bishop e2, g3 looks to trap the rook. Okay, rook d7 if the knight moves. Probably bishop e2, a5. A lot of moves to suggest here for Magnus, but I'll just let him display far better technique than my arrows can. I think he's got this game, guys. I'm actually going to leave it there because Magnus, more than 2 minutes on the clock. He's already shown us the clinic. That looks like a victory. There's a lot of other important games to get to. Gadir Gusenov. Oh man, this looks like maybe a anti-Berlin. Yeah, this looks like potentially an anti-Berlin opening. And Hikaru really going for the victory here in what should be a dead drawn endgame. Dead drawn. But, okay, knight b5. Knight b5 is interesting. There's the possibility to always open the game with h5. So Naka here with a 2 minute to 30-second advantage. Playing black here against Grandmaster Gusenov from Azerbaijan. I'm sure that he's going to be trying to play for the win. We know not Magnus. We know Naka very well. We know Naka very well. c5? Is that the idea? c5 and king c6? No, b5 actually. That's a little surprising, allowing a4. I don't think Naka can win this. That would be impressive. I'm guessing if takes, the only way to keep it in balance is to take with the pawn, but I just don't see the benefit in that. But with this time advantage, Naka is really good at creating issues or just things for his opponent to think about, problems to deal with. As white, it's maybe a little bit of a boring way to play, but hey, draw against Nakamura in round 2. You can't ask for a better result than that, and you got to play for the tournament result, not necessarily for the fans. Okay, so knight c4, knight c5, king e7. I mean, realistically, this should just end up in a draw in a couple moves, but I think that's the exact opposite of what we're going to see here. I'm sure that Naka is going to be playing this on for a victory, and he's turned some of these positions into victories before, so I'm not even going to question him. I will let him navigate that position as we move on to Dmitry Andreikin, who is a well-known participant here in Title Tuesday, often finding his way to the top of the table. And he's got a 3-against-2 endgame here with knights on the board. That should be another easy draw, but unlike the Nakamura position, this one there's actually some hope with the extra pawn to play on. So white will definitely be pushing for a win here. Realistically should be a draw, but there's 10 seconds to a minute. That's what we're seeing in these games, is the higher rated players are essentially going to be either up material or in a drawn position, or maybe have a slightly better position or trying to win. But the real difference between ratings that I find, because I can speak for myself, is the time difference. The higher rated guy usually has a big time advantage, but this tournament is 3 minutes plus 2 seconds. So there's no flagging in this event, guys. Promotes some good chess. So if anyone's going to win, it's got to be on the board. The time can play a factor, but with 9 seconds here, you're getting 2 seconds every move. All you have to do is get rid of every single white pawn. I think it can be done. So is he going to take? I wonder. I guess you've got to take here. Knight d6, king d4. Okay, well, there we go. At least he's got a target here. If white can win that pawn, he's really going to push those 2 pawns for victory. Magnus and Hikaru still playing. Wesley So as an update, 2 out of 2. Fabiano Caruana, 2 out of 2. It's actually not Fabiano's first appearance in a Title Tuesday. I remember distinctly commentating one before where he did participate, but it's maybe his second appearance. So Fabiano Caruana, definitely not a regular. He's off to 2 out of 2. That's a good start. International Master, or I should say Grandmaster-elect, Akshat Chandra, also out to 2 out of 2. And ooh, there's no knight to e4 there to trade pieces, but 3 seconds. This pawn on a4, I start to worry about losing it. What happens after king b4 now? Knight e3? Probably just knight c3. Ooh, hang on, knight c3, knight c2, and king c5. Tricky. What do you do here? Knight d2? Yeah, knight d2, protect your pawn, and just take this guy next turn. What a series of events here. Just take that and king b3. Wow, guys. He managed to win that pawn, and he's going to play king c3, knight check a4, and I'm going to call it. I think he's going to win the endgame. That is really, really filthy what we just saw. Not in a bad way, I mean in an impressive way. Vladimirovich, Dmitry Andreikin, pushing for the victory. We're going to see knight d4 check probably, yep. And c5. Okay, he's threatening knight c5 check, so we might see king back to c6. Now c5 check, or sorry, not check, just c5 and king b5 I think looks good. Is he just going to go back? No, he wants his knight on d4 it looks like. That looks like the best square for it, followed by c5. Now it switches to, this would be very impressive if black actually manages to hold this. He's got an idea though, knight takes c4. Don't forget, we might see knight e6 here. And if knight b7, what's the idea? Ooh, guys, knight b7? Knight c6 is actually one of the funniest zugzwangs I've seen. This knight can't take either pawn, can't play here, can't play here, and the king can't move. How nice is that? Oh man, that would have been hilarious. I guess maybe with his minimal time on the clock he did see that, which would be impressive, but Andreikin pushing for a win here. Let's stick with this game and see if he can do it. And checking the standings for you guys, Magnus Carlsen 2 out of 2, so he also won his game, but we checked a lot earlier. We had a feeling that that game was going to be over. Knight a6, c6 check. Oh, this is turning into a real grind, and there's threat of c7 and knight a7 check. c7 and king d7. Yeah, that works because there's no knight takes. Ooh, actually there's no king d8 because of knight e6 check. So what is he going to do? King e7? Oh, it's a nice one. If knight there, then king back. And now he's going to play king back. This is a... Oh, hang on a sec. Oh, I was going to say that was such a nice game. Oh, but now it's a draw. I think. Yeah, king b7. Yeah. And then just knight c4 check and knight b6. Or knight c6. Oh, hang on. Man. Okay, I'm pretty sure that it should be a draw, but yeah, I think he's got it now because he's going to play knight a6 next turn. Knight a7? Knight a7? Oh, man. Oh, man. What did I just see? Guys, you have to appreciate this endgame. This is one of the nicest endgames I've seen. So I thought that he messed it up. So let's take a look. Because right here, I thought he was doing a very nice triangulation. And then knight b7, king there, knight takes, king there. This must be a draw here. Must be a draw. I think you need to play king here so that white goes here and you play knight there. And then although there's knight d6 moves like that, I think you just put your knight to e7 and control that square. That is the nicest endgame that I've seen though. Because you have to remember when it started, guys, that was a complete draw. 3 against 2. Oh man. So there was a lot of moments in that endgame which I was pretty impressed with, but the finish was actually pretty nice as well. Knight a7. Ooh, and you win no matter what here because your pawn queen's on c8 by force. Oof. There was he missed a mate. Did he miss a mate? No, he didn't miss a mate. Knight a5 was check. What are you guys talking about? I don't think he missed a mate. No. No, he didn't miss a mate. Alright. Okay, there we go. What a nice game. Let's take a look at the standings. Where is Nakamura? Hang on a sec. Did Nakamura lose? Guys, I think Nakamura might have lost. Or, okay, drawn, I guess. Whoa, Nakamura lost. Oh, we saw the position where Nakamura was basically playing... we saw the position where Nakamura was playing an equal position. And... oh man, he must have tried too hard to win. Round 3 is starting, guys. We're going to put Magnus Carlsen on the screen here. Let me fix the board. Okay, Magnus Carlsen's playing black. I'll flip the board. Oh man, that might be some Naka tilt, guys. Oh, let me fix this. 1 sec. Gotta make sure we're plugged in over here. There we go. Yeah, guys, Nakamura lost. That is inexplicable. It's happened to me, but that's some discipline you just have to take with you at the highest level. You're playing a low-rated player. You really want to win that game, but if it's objectively a draw, you don't push too hard. It sounds like Nakamura obviously pushed too hard and lost that end game. That is too bad for Nakamura. 1 out of 2 to start off, but we've seen him come back. It depends if he stays in the tournament or not, but that is really too bad. He should have taken the draw and been in totally fine contention with 1.5 out of 2. You could even call that a Swiss gambit, guys. He could have snuck in the back door of the tournament. So in this round, we have Magnus Carlsen here against Shrek David. Actually, everyone's maintaining their big 2 out of 2 scores. We've got Fabiano Caruana, MVL, Wesley So, Magnus Carlsen. And depending how this game goes, we're going to check out Wesley So's game as well, because we want to start following some other games. There's a lot of people with perfect scores right now, and most importantly, there's simply a lot of title players in this tournament. A lot of really, really strong title players. So I think maybe in the top 10 in the world, there might be like 5 or 6, maybe 4 or 5 players from the top 10 or something. That's pretty crazy. Rook D8, Rook E8. I think as white, you're playing the world champion. You're not too unhappy with an equal, sort of symmetrical type of position like this. But again, in the last game when Magnus was black playing E5, all we saw was him pressure the D pawn. We might see him pressure that square again. And what is it? Why do people keep doing this? Like, ED5 is actually a move that I struggle to understand there. Okay, well, once again, we'll see if Magnus can put enough pressure on the D-pawn here. Takes, rook takes, and is Queen C5 an idea? With Knight D4? What does he want to do after rook to E1? That is the question. Looks like Knight D5. And then Knight D5, Knight takes E5. There's Knight takes E3. Very important. And is there... No, there's no F5 here. No F5. There might be... Is there Knight F4? I think Knight F4 might be an option. Although Knight F4, you have to think about D4. So tactics actually not favoring Magnus Carlsen there. Look at the time situation. A minute on the clock. Magnus has 2 minutes and 42 seconds. So don't ever talk to this guy about not being a speedy player. Look at that. Well, the move we want to play is F5. It's simply being prevented by this knight here. Queen D6 runs into Knight F5. Knight F6. I guess just rook back. How does Magnus keep playing here? Maybe a move like rook E7? Threatening F5? That seems reasonable to me. E5 is not threatened. Queen D2 doesn't seem to threaten anything except the idea of D4. I guess Magnus is maybe looking for something that keeps pieces or keeps material on the board, because rook E7, maybe D4 is what he's concerned about. He just doesn't want everything to get traded off. Although it looks like after D4, if you take there, everything gets traded off, but maybe that position is still good. Remember, white has his pawn on A4, and in a lot of lines, that's going to be hanging at the end of variations. So we'll see what he does here. Queen D5? I don't know. I would play maybe this and rook E7, trying to set up something there. King H8. Bit of a sneaky move there. Does he want to play Knight G8 or something? King H8, maybe that's like a, pass the ball into your court type of thing. He maybe didn't know exactly what to do, but he's also confident that white doesn't know exactly what to do. So he's happy to do that. Now we might see pawn takes here because white is interested in keeping the structure like that, but he plays the better move, rook takes, which definitely is correct. I was going to say rook E2, but rook E3 just as good. Queen d5. Basically, these are the two weaknesses in the position. White's going to put all this pressure against e5. Meanwhile, at the end of a lot of lines, b3 or a4, the two weaknesses in White's position, are going to be hanging. So, hang on a sec now. What is happening after knight takes pawn? Ooh, maybe d4 is a good move, but what happens after knight takes pawn there? Was I? Oh, sorry. No, excuse me. Ignore me. Ignore me. What am I saying? I was only counting how many pieces were attacking e5. But of course, you don't count how many pieces, you count the value. And White would lose his queen if he did that, so you can just ignore that comment completely. There you go. If I was playing Magnus, I'd hang my queen right there. If knight d2, queen takes is not possible because of d5. So knight d2 forces queen d5, but actually knight d2, queen d5, and f3. Is that possible? That looks interesting. Oh, he takes. Whoa. Tactics. Knight c4 doesn't work. Oh, Magnus with the calculation. Hang on. So if rook b1, I believe queen a2 is quite important. Yeah, rook b1, queen a2, guys. Rook b1, queen a2, and this pawn is going to be hanging. Imagine knight c4 happens. There's just queen takes and rook takes pawn. And this is just lights out, I imagine. Knight d4 looks extremely strong. Knight d4, queen d1. And there's no knight c2 because of rook b3, I think. Or actually, he could play knight c2. Rook b3, queen a2. But it looks a little weird in there. Basically, Magnus just won a pawn for nothing, and he has an extremely strong position, so I don't think he's too concerned. After pawn takes, the move f4 becomes pretty strong. We might see queen c5 from Magnus in this position. That feels really strong. And if takes, then we play f4. Knight c2 is going for it now. Ooh, guys, he's going for it now. Look at that. He sees the move f3, exposes the diagonal. Now rook b3, there's queen d4 check. Basically the same tactic that we just discussed. And Magnus, of course, realizes the difference in the position. Okay, there's no e5 trick, which I was going to say White might sacrifice material, but you've got two rooks hanging here. You've got queen d4 coming as well. Magnus can just play check and take the pawn with the rook or the pawn. And probably that's just game over. He's got a minute here. His opponent's got 5 seconds ticking down. I think we'll see the end of the game fairly soon. Maybe just b6. Okay, queen takes. If knight there, there's queen c2, and the rook is hanging, and then we take back. And okay, this is just everything hanging at once here. And queen takes g3, and rook e1 coming next. Game over. But guys, yeah, there's like 9 people who are going to get a chance to play the world champion in this tournament, which is pretty nice. Let's take a look at the standings. Meanwhile, the next game we have to look at is 3rd seeded Eltaj Safarli is also in this tournament, playing black here, and against Alexander Lenderman, he looks to be begging for a draw here. Although the time situation makes me feel like he's probably going to earn it, but he's got to play king d5 and go for it. The standings, guys, we have who's in first? Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano Caruana, Wesley So, all 3 out of 3. And we do have a lot of strong players on 2.5, but Grandmaster-elect Akshat Chandra also 3 out of 3, and still lots of games to play in this round. So we'll keep you guys updated. Knight f4, and geez, actually it's White who has to be careful about losing this game. So Black's gonna go take this pawn, but he also has to be careful. This pawn marching up the board. Yeah, I definitely take that back. I think it's is it gonna be this and then push the pawns and play knight c3, or he has knight d6, knight f7. That's what he's going to do. And we might see a draw here from... Ooh, no, we won't see a draw, maybe. Ooh, this is going to be very, very close. This is going to be very close because White's king is just going to attack this knight. If you can get the knight in front of the pawn on a2 or a3, then there's nothing you can do. Black has to play king e4 in that position. There you go. There you go. King e4, only move. King f5 and king f6. And meanwhile, stop this pawn with knight a2. Yeah. a3, king f6. Okay, he earned his draw there. But that was actually pretty close. If he didn't have that tempo move in order to play king e4, I'd actually be very, very worried. There's a chance that you could actually lose that. Okay, this would be a draw though. Just wait for these guys to agree on it. Meanwhile, let's check out the games in progress. That game is going to finish. Let's check out Grandmaster Bobby Hess here. You guys know him from Chess.com. Definitely. You've seen him maybe in my position doing some commentary before. And he's here with, honestly, just a lost position that he's probably going to resign right now, unfortunately, against Sujirov from Russia, who converts on a nice game with white. Unfortunately, Robert Hess goes down, and we're getting close to the end of this round. Next round, guys, there's going to be some fireworks. You got way too many strong players on perfect scores, so I'm pretty excited. Ooh, bishop f3. This one looks like going to be an upset here, as one of the last games in the round. Vladimir Hamatovici looks like, oh, thought he was going down, and black just blunders. He's up a rook here, and he's not converting. Oh, man. Well, you can still play this on with black, but honestly, I'm probably more worried that he's going to lose. Rook a4, yeah, okay. Maybe just take this so we end the misery. I'm probably more worried that black's going to lose than white, to be honest. This looks like it's going to be a long one. I'm going to leave this on my screen. Oh, there was bishop d5 there if you wanted to just draw the game. I'm going to leave this on the screen. This is my prediction for longest game of the round. MVL, Caruana, Magnus, and Wesley So, all with perfect scores, so look forward to some big matchups in the next round. I'm quite sure we're going to see at least one or two. Cat Rocket Moo, that's a good question. I will check that for you. This game is gonna go the distance, it looks like. 2 out of 3 there, Cat Rocket Moo. I'm not sure if that's a result of 2 draws or a loss, so I can't say for sure, but we have the Chess Pro on 2 out of 3, and I think Nakamura is also on 2 out of 3 if he's still in the event. Otherwise, he may have left after his round. I'm not too sure, but Nakamura also dropped a game, so definitely a lot of room to come back in a tournament like this. But with so many people boasting perfect scores, I think that the winner of this Title Tuesday is going to have a very, very high score. I would say at least 8 points is needed. Okay. This isn't necessarily game of the round, but it's definitely longest game of the round. I don't think white's in any danger to lose with a position like this. Probably hoping that his lower rated opponent actually messes up first. It is black playing for the win, but when you look at the ratings and the fact that black was up a rook and hung an entire knight, you just feel that anything could happen. I can't wait for the next round, though. I cannot wait. There's even more guys joining with perfect scores here. Yevgeny Shaposhnikov, Yevgeny Levin, a lot of strong Russian grandmasters. International master Astane, who's quite likely streaming right now. I'm not sure, but he's even on a perfect score as well. Karanke, who I've seen all the time playing on live chess. And Daniel Naroditsky as well on perfect score, so quite the big names here on perfect scores. Next round should be very intense, and I think this is the last game of the round. Let me confirm. Yes, it is the last game of the round. My prediction was right. that this would be the last game, I mean. Yeah, there has to be a 50 move rule here somewhere, I bet. King h4. Not sure what the idea would be here. Maybe check, king g3. Don't hang this move. That's gonna be my prediction, that this move could get hung in this position. I feel like there's a good chance black flags or something. I gotta be careful here. That's a good move. That's a good move. He wants to play king f4 and go rook to h1. I guess it's definitely possible to win this endgame. This is looking extremely scary now. Rook is coming to h1. White better claim a draw or something. Oh, this is over. Oh, yikes. That was honestly probably just a very bad final defense there, because that endgame certainly should be a draw, but yikes, that is a heartbreaker for White to lose that. So kudos actually to Abdelaziz M from, is that the wow, country of Sudan, a FIDE master. Congratulations for that technique, because that did not look winning to me. Alright guys, we're gonna take a break from following Magnus Carlsen just for this round, because we have to bring you some of the biggest matchups, and we have to pay attention to this one. Let's go guys. Fabiano Caruana against Grandmaster Wesley So. This is the all-American battle, and both guys on 3 out of 3. I'm pretty excited. So we're sticking with this game for this round, guys. And Caruana, you got to make a move, my friend. Come on, buddy. Let's not have this super important match just come down to a flag. Maybe he's giving timeouts. Oh man, I would hate for all the hype for this match to be decided by an internet problem or something. Maybe Caruana is getting a drink. Oh, come on. Come on, Caruana. Come back, buddy. We need you here. Just make it into a timeouts game. Come back at exactly 2 minutes. To be honest, guys, if I missed maybe like 50 seconds of my game against Wesley So, I would probably start playing exactly at 2 minutes. So I would pretend like, oh yeah, I'm just giving timeouts. But it looks here, unfortunately, like Caruana is actually not here. What's going on here? Well, I won't bore you guys with commentary on a position that's non-existent. That would be pretty crazy. But guys, this is really too bad. I think he's not here. Maybe he didn't think the next round would start so soon, or he's having internet issues, but his internet connection, it says on the screen here that it's fantastic. So, geez, that's too bad. Well, I don't think we can stay with this game too long. I'm gonna start up some of the other big matchups that we have. Let's take a look at MVL playing Astana here from Ireland. The big matchup here as well between I'd say a pretty big rating disparity here. MVL definitely the heavy favorite, but Astana definitely a guy very known in the streaming community, so I'm sure he has a lot of support as well. I'm gonna keep checking on this Wesley So game, see if he gets awarded the point. Yeah, I'm sure Wesley So has got to be pretty happy with that. Ooh, already the bishop pair for White. That's not what you want to give to your higher rated opponent. Those guys know what to do with a pair of bishops. We might see a flag in Caruana's games. Don't think that he's moved against Wesley So. Let me drop in on that game just to double check. Oh, we're good. We're just gonna drop in on the flag. That's, oh man, that's crazy. Never before seen, guys. Oh man, so we don't even see the big matchup that we wanted to see. Well, there you go, guys. The All-American battle goes to Grandmaster Wesley So. He showed some nice preparation there. That was a riveting one. Let's take a glance back at MVL's game, which I'm hoping will, maybe last a little bit longer, maybe a few more moves than that. But that was actually a crazy game, guys. Wesley just showing some great technique, but mostly just Fabi's time management once again becoming an issue. That's probably the only reason he lost there. It's mostly just on time. So tough game, but I know I was glued to the edge of my seat for the All-American battle. Two bishops here for MVL. I always personally like to pay very close attention to these matchups because it's always really nice to watch what a strong player can do with a pair of bishops. Definitely something to pay very close attention to from a learning standpoint, I'll say. So what we'll see is Black trying to basically use the light square blockade here, and I'm sure that the move Bishop F1 is going to be played at some point. I also feel like the move Bishop E1 and maybe Knight E4 is coming as well. But Black wants to put a knight on C4, so we'll probably see this move, Bishop E1 and Bishop F1, or maybe just Bishop F1. So Knight B6 I think is the only move here. Otherwise the blockade fails and the C6 pawn is simply too weak. So takes. Ooh, I don't approve of that. I know it's opposite bishops here, but take a look at those pawns, guys. All on light squares for that light square bishop to nom on. And meanwhile, this pawn chain seems very effective in blocking this bishop. So knight's going to go to d3. We might see doubling the rooks, which is ironic here, playing the guy from Ireland, and White's the one doing the doubling. But we might see that being the most effective strategy here. Knight going to b4, double the rooks, bishop to g2, and I really like the pressure that MVL can create against this weak pawn, this backwards pawn that we have on c6 here. Black's putting pressure on d4, but you have to wonder exactly what his plan is. It's going to be e5, but as long as White sidesteps e5 tactically along the d file, then I don't think that there's going to be that much of an issue here. So it doesn't look like it's going to be that bad for White. Without e5, I don't see the counterplay for Black. This guy's a sitting duck. You're going to see slow moves to improve the position. Bishop to f3, king g2, eventually knight b4, maybe rook c2. But Astane's holding in there. He's definitely holding in there, but oof. Unless it's some counterplay involving knight takes g3 or something there. Maybe bishop f6 and g5 and then try to play h4. That's my recommendation. But geez, that c6 pawn is simply falling. And that was inevitable. We knew that was coming many moves ago. I wonder if he's thinking about something along the lines of, a queen takes g3 after a bishop gets to d4. And he does take that, and this is the only counterplay that he's going to go for. And rook takes d4, and that unleashes queen g3. It unleashes the idea of bishop takes with check. So it definitely feels maybe a little crazy in this position. King h2, rook takes h4, for example. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was a refutation. Let's be careful though. This is a really nice practical idea by Astana. Whether or not it works, I love what he just did. The only weakness in White's structure, as I was saying, was those dark squares. And okay, queen e1 seems to protect the pawn, get out of the pin there. And what is the idea with that? I don't get that one. But unfortunately, guys, knight c6 was coming. So there you go. That's the best I can say about that. I do like the move that he played there. He's probably going to play g5 now, followed by h4. I like what he did there, but like I was saying, White's position was so good that it would be sort of bizarre to me if all of a sudden he was losing by some sequence like that. In chess, it's a pretty fair game. Things don't deserve to work that way. So if your position is good, it's pretty rare that, just out of the blue, this tactical sequence will pop up. Okay, just trade that rook though. Trade that rook on d8, and the queen wants to come to g5 or h8 and then h2, but the king on f1 after queen h2 check is also completely safe. So still a bit of a job for conversion purposes to do here, but I know, a rook up for MVL. You gotta feel confident in the guy. King g1 and king f1 is completely safe after queen h2, so I don't think he's worried about that check at all. Queen takes b4 here is the better move. There we go. And MVL's got to be careful. The more pawns he loses, suddenly the harder it is to win. But I think what he should do is something like bishop, well not now, but something like getting a king to g2 with a rook coming to h1, maybe queen f3. Can we do bishop takes a4 there? Queen e4, I don't see the point of that, but black's very low on time, so he's trying to hang in there down an entire rook against MVL. That's not the easiest thing to do. Not the easiest thing to do. Yikes. Well, guys, it looks like MVL is going to get the victory. Let me update you on the standings because it's really close at the top. Another big thing we have to mention is Magnus Carlsen, 4 out of 4. Unfortunately, Fabiano Caruana just, didn't move against Wesley So, which is unprecedented in these Title Tuesday events. I don't think I've seen that, especially from such a strong player. Of course they're going to be here for their games on time. So that's really too bad. We didn't see that big matchup. But Wesley So, perfect score, 4 out of 4. MVL, we just saw his victory, 4 out of 4. Daniel Naroditsky, perfect score. Magnus Carlsen, perfect score. And the two Yevgenis, Levin and Shaposhnikov from Russia, both moving to 4 out of 4. And there's definitely a pack chasing them afterwards. But for the moment, those are the perfect scores. So let's take a look here as the round goes on. We have Eric Hansen here. Potentially, is that a losing endgame? He's hoping for a draw here. And we have to watch out for this threat. The king comes down, and when the rook goes over here, actually, we have this move as well. So, okay, he's going to transition into this endgame, which is definitely drawn, and we'll basically see if black makes a major blunder in this endgame. But with 12 seconds on the clock, I don't see there being any issues here for black making a draw. This, for most grandmasters, just very routine. I talked about this actually in an earlier position from Title Tuesday where we had a Philidor position defense. So I think we're going to see a draw right here. Don't imagine that White's going to be playing on. There it is. Draw on the board. And that is not the last game, but very close to it in this fourth round. Queen g8, and actually it looks like black has the only chances to win here with all of the pieces against the queen. And yes, rook takes b2 is coming. That's very scary. I think black is just completely winning. And maybe we'll see queen takes rook and then take back, and he'll have to do a bishop and knight checkmate. Maybe we'll see that. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Just rook d2 or rook b3. Yeah, this doesn't feel very convincing. Oh, that's... at least he should have sacked his queen for the rook. Make him do a bishop and knight. But we're definitely appreciative of that game not going very long, so we can get right into the action in round 5. Let's see what the matchups are, because, again, we could get some really, really big matchups here. We're all waiting for maybe Wesley So against Magnus Carlsen, but I think we might need a few more rounds before we get that. And we do. Let's take a look at Magnus Carlsen. This might be the most important match of this round. Magnus Carlsen here, still in a perfect score in his first Title Tuesday event. And he's playing the black pieces against Daniel Naroditsky, who has won this event before. A very dangerous guy, and Blitz in general, but also in this tournament. He has consistently performed very well. The commentator just woke up Actually, that's not true, but maybe my hair looks like it. I can accept those comments. I can accept those comments. Not true, but I hope my commentary doesn't sound like it's sleepy as well. That's the main thing. We see a sideline here for Magnus Carlsen. There we go. Why does that not surprise us? Because sometimes when you're at a rating discrepancy against still a very strong player, you want to make a point that you don't want to go into necessarily the mainline theory, because that might be too easy for your opponent to play. So it seems he's maybe playing a subpar system just to get out of opening theory. But bishop g5, and we're probably going to see c5 here. I guess bishop b4 check is certainly possible, but after c5, the move must be c3. And white gets a nice looking initiative here, unless I think we might see the move d3. That feels the most principled. d3 is a tough pawn to recapture, and even if you do, the material is only equal. I feel like taking with takes and knight takes with long castle coming in, that feels like a great initiative for white to have in this position. So will we see, one of the first real games where Magnus Carlsen could get in trouble? And I see Hikaru in the chat, and I think that, like I was suspecting, there were some internet issues for Hikaru, some maybe connection issues, and unfortunately he's not in the tournament anymore for that reason. So we're sad to see him go after a tough loss earlier on, but it looks like we're gonna have to keep our fingers crossed for the big matchups between potentially Fabi. If he's back in the tournament, I should say. He also maybe is having some connection issues. So a lot of the top players having a few problems, but that doesn't stop us from keeping the show going on, and we still have some of the strongest players in the world still here battling it out. And getting back to this game between Magnus Carlsen and Daniel Naroditsky, it looks like somehow, let me just go back. What did he do? Queen e7. Queen e7, so he found a creative way here. White's missing his light squared bishop, so what we're seeing here is black trying to play exclusively on the light squares. And after knight d5, white can't castle, and trading queens is not ideal. You're simply down a pawn here. Stops rook c3, stops rook c7, attacks e3, and these knights just have no power against this queen. So even some knight move or queen e2, whatever it is, black's more than happy to trade queens. Like I said, he's up a pawn, bishop d6 coming, 2 bishops. Everything is aligning for black here, and what looked like maybe a difficult opening is shaping up to be potentially an easy game for Magnus Carlsen. Will we see? I was going to say will we see c6, but knight takes e3 played, so probably f takes e3. Queen takes there is a risky option. I mean, there's knight g2 in the position. I don't imagine we'll see that move. That looks a bit risky. F takes e3 is played, the safer version. This is the more principled way, but unfortunately, if white could castle, I would say white has a decent initiative there. But look how easily black is able to get castled here. Meanwhile, white is not able to do so himself. And king f2 even drops a piece. So let's say black castles here. What does white do? Check, you just tuck the king on h8. Everything seems protected. There's no discovered attacks or anything. Black is up a pawn. He's got the 2 bishops against the 2 knights. Unfortunately, this game looked interesting at the start, but Magnus really took over command here. Magnus really took over command. I won't be surprised to see him try to keep the bishops with a move like that, but then there follows knight e4. So the simplification might be preferable. Takes, queen d1. But he's looking for more. He is looking for tactics. Rook e8. Yikes. He's looking to punish white for his setup here. With this weak pawn like that and the king still in the middle, Magnus is going for tactics. Rook to e8. King f2, of course, we hang this piece right there. I'm wondering what I can suggest here for white. Very tough position. Queen there, not king there, guys, because we will hang our queen. 296 check, so a little trap, maybe last-ditch effort. But bishop e6 played, queen f3, and now we're going to see this bishop move somewhere. Bishop c4 probably. Ooh, bishop c4 looks like a nice move. Remember, the knight is pinned, and there's still the rook takes e3 threat, and bishop there feels really nice, threatening some sort of checkmates on f1 or e2, but he goes bishop b3, which looks to be a similar effect. Black is totally winning here. On top of everything that I'm saying, the bottom line is white cannot castle, because white could even give up some material here and have some initiative on the f-file, but the fact that white can't castle means it's very difficult to set something like that up. There's going to be rook takes or bishop takes on e3 next turn. If knight b3, just bishop e3 and queen b3, and that's over. That is game over. The queen even covers the diagonal to the king, so we might even see a resignation. There we go. Very quick game by Magnus. We've just seen domination by him in this Title Tuesday so far. Let's take a look at Wesley So, who we haven't actually seen in action so far. Let's check Wesley. There it is. So Wesley So, interesting. Is this game live? For some reason the notation looks a little funny. Maybe that's not a live game. Let's try it again. I'm having trouble loading Wesley's game for some reason. This guy sounds so tired, I can't understand him. I have been up for a while. I'm trying not to sound too tired. I think I have a lot of energy. I've definitely had most energy in this Title Tuesday for any single one that I've commentated, and I've done quite a few by now. I'm having trouble loading Wesley's game. I wonder why. Yeah, that's very strange. For some reason, I can't load Wesley's game right now, so we're gonna have to take a look at his game afterwards, or hopefully the next round goes a little easier. For now, this is MVL playing black against Yevgeny Levin. This is a battle of two guys with perfect scores, and the game was drawn. So we actually don't have any perfect scores except Magnus, and we are waiting for a few games to finish that could affect that. So let's go to one of the other games which can affect that, and that is the game between definitely an underdog here. I should say two underdogs. Both of these guys on perfect scores. Having the tournament of their lives, perhaps. I don't know who they've beaten up till now. Double click it is being suggested. Let me try. Double click. Double click is not working for me, unfortunately. I will try again after this game. This should be a draw for sure, but we are going to see white play on. And I say for sure this should be a draw, but the more that I look at it, actually, that might have been a mistake by me, because white can create a pass pawn on the f-file. I actually thought that this was even material on the king side, but white's up 2 pawns here. So this should actually be winning. This should be winning. There's no way you can take that pawn because of the queening idea. So this bishop needs to sort of reroute out of there so the king can try to come in, and once king b5 is played, black has to play king to b6 or d6, and then white can play f4. So I imagine bring the bishop out, play king b5, and then start to play f4. So this is a battle of two 24, 60, 70s who are clearly overperforming this tournament. Imagine, but one of them, if one of them wins, could have perfect score along with Magnus Carlsen. That might even be a pairing for next round. So keep these names in mind, because I imagine that the winner here. Ooh, now we can play. Ooh, we can't play bishop takes. That's important. We can't play bishop takes. So what? Some bishop move and threaten f4. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. That's not prevented. A7 is covered by the bishop, but that's only momentary. Basically, we can use this pawn as a decoy now. Just play f6, f7. When the king goes to get it, then you bring your king into c6. He'll bring that bishop all the way back. Yep. Play king b5, king d6, and play f6. And then the king has to go take that pawn, and you march your king in there, and you put this bishop on h5. And that should be a draw. Excuse me, that should be a win. What am I saying? That should be a win. Yep. So maybe do the bishop move first. You want to be careful that you don't end up, yeah, bishop there, bishop e8, bishop h5. So just bishop e8 first, and then a7 I like. a7 first. Okay, no difference. Bishop e8, bishop h5, and run your king over. That's an easy win, guys. That's an easy win. An update, Wesley So has lost. That looks like a big result. Has Wesley lost? Oh man, Wesley So lost the game. I mean, he's never lost a classical game. It's just insane, really, to see him lose a Blitz game. I wonder who he was playing. Let me check the list. I think he's playing Yevgeny Shaposhnikov, who actually does really well in these tournaments. Just Mud, I see your comment. You definitely don't need to spam. Definitely don't need to spam. Yevgeny Shaposhnikov, 5 out of 5, guys. That's quite impressive. 5 out of 5 for Shaposhnikov. He just beat Wesley So. I mean, nobody's done that in classical chess for like over 50 games. That's what the stat is, right? Wesley has gone 52 games or something without a loss, which is pretty incredible here. And we do see Aguiar 94, FIDE master from Brazil. I'm being told he hasn't played a GM yet, so maybe he hasn't met his match, but 5 out of 5 is still an impressive start no matter how you get there. And let's take a look at the all-GM battle, all-American. Oh, sorry, I thought that said Molnar, Mackenzie Molnar, but Molnar 1951. I'm not sure who that grandmaster is. That's Croatia. And ooh, nice, we're seeing a bishop-knight technique here by Grandmaster Hess. Bishop to b4. Let's see the technique. Knight back, bishop move, knight check, bishop mate, and there it is. Finally, we're getting a nice clean bishop and knight mate. It's funny. I think we see a bishop and knight checkmate every single Title Tuesday, or at least every one I've done. I can remember them very vividly. Okay, so let's go to the standings, guys, because once again we have this FIDE Master 2470 ahead of Magnus here, or tied at least with 5 points. There's 3 guys with perfect scores: Shaposhnikov, Aguiar 94 from Brazil, and Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen, of course. And then we have Yevgeny Levin, we have Safarli, MVL. Those guys are at 4.5. And then we have a group of people chasing with 4 points, and quite a few names there that you guys are going to recognize for sure. But the next round, which is underway now, is going to feature some very big matchups. And let me head over there for the first time. Let's take a look at Grandmaster Wesley So in action, because Wesley So and MVL is a huge matchup. Magnus is playing the FIDE Master. We were going to let him handle business, and if we get a quick draw here, we'll go check that out. But I think we haven't really paid attention to Wesley So's games so far, so we definitely have to show him that respect. And against MVL, this is by far the match of the round for sure. So we see what we could classify as maybe slightly boring stuff, but I wonder if these guys are going to make a draw, or if we're going to see this slight advantage for white that you always get from these positions actually materialize into something. I would say this is the least likely position that Wesley's going to lose from. I don't know what position he lost against Shaposhnikov or how he managed to do that, but Wesley is almost the guy that you figure will never lose a game. So maybe his time management or his ability to play quickly is what's costing him, because we've seen in classical the guy is just unbeatable if he doesn't want to lose. He knows what openings to choose. He's a very safe player. Doesn't take too many risks. So that's the kind of guy you want on your fantasy football team. The guy who's always gonna produce some points. All right. So Wesley So against MVL. Magnus Carlsen is still playing, as an update for those wondering whether he won in like 5 seconds or something. He is playing an FM who is at 5 out of 5, but still, it doesn't mean it's an easy game by any stretch. Magnus is white, so I feel like he has a big advantage there. But this is definitely materializing into quite a serious grind, I would say. I would probably trade the bishops here, although the other thing is that trading bishops does favor black because he has a little bit less space for his pieces. White, if he does have an advantage, it's got to be space and maybe development for a little bit. But that's going to go away. It's a very temporary advantage, we call it. Development, lead and development, stuff like that. That's a very temporary advantage. Material is obviously a permanent advantage. But this is something that I feel we're maybe going to leave just for the moment because I have a feeling this is going to be fairly equal moving forward. But I like to move f4. I think, is that going to cause him to take? Or maybe take and play queen f6? Yeah, I like to move f4. There we go. Okay, maybe knight to g6. Or if not knight g6, then if the knight moves, black plays queen d6, bishop f7, I think he's completely fine. Knight g6, I had the idea to take back and threaten f5 while trying to stop bishop f7 with having my bishop there. Although it doesn't look entirely reasonable. Let's check out Magnus's game. Ooh, no, we're gonna stay here. Tactic time. Knight takes c6 and f5. Is that just missed by Wesley? It's not that you necessarily lose more material there, because after pawn takes, of course, you do get it back with queen takes, but that endgame has got to be good for white. This is a bad pawn structure, and was knight takes f7 possible there? Asks Martin Bow. Knight takes f7. Was knight takes f7 possible? There's a knight here which is defending the bishop, if that's what you meant. Yeah, and knight takes... Nah, no, I don't think there was a knight f7, but knight c6 maybe the same sort of tactic you were talking about. We might see Wesley draw this, but that is definitely an advantage for MVL in this endgame. You're going to play moves like g3, king e3, maybe knight a5, put pressure on this. Yeah, king d6. And we might see b4. There it is. Yep. Gotta have b4. I appreciate that twice nightly, but yeah, you got a couple ways you can put up with me. Material odds, doing some chess bra shows, and doing a little commentary for Title Tuesday as always. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. Knight is going to c5 here, and I'm going to stay with this game, guys, because I really have to give credit to MVL for pushing in this position. He's down a minute on the clock, so take back everything I said about Wesley playing slow. He is clearly playing fast enough, and it looks like the only way he's losing here is on position. So MVL pushing for victory. I think the likely result is a draw, but these pawns are actually dominated by this light square bishop for the moment, and we'll see if time becomes a factor. I think that's the main thing. Is bishop f5 an idea here? To take maybe with the pawn and play b5? Maybe that's an idea. I see Magnus's game is done. Oh, Magnus won. Update, guys. Magnus won. He is at 6 out of 6. I mean, are we going to see Magnus win with 9 out of 9? What do you guys think? You guys let me know, because I have commentated one Title Tuesday where Alexander Bordnik, Black Horse 96 on Chess.com, he actually won with 9 out of 9. It was the first and I believe the only Title Tuesday ever to finish with 9 out of 9. And that was insane at the time, but could we see a repeat performance here by Magnus Carlsen? 3 rounds to go. You know, guys like Fabiano Caruana and Nakamura are not in the tournament, and you know, looking at the list, there's not that many guys here who are going to pose very serious problems to Magnus. MVL has to keep winning in order to do that, and so does Wesley So. But Wesley has 4 points, MVL has 4.5. Magnus is already at 6 right now, so these guys have to step it up if they're gonna try to win the event, or at least challenge Magnus. Most people say 8 out of 9. That was my initial prediction. Not necessarily Magnus, but I said the winner would have to have 8 points. That's definitely clear. But the other thing to keep in mind is that basically, if Wesley So and MVL don't tie their skates up nice and tight, Canadian hockey skates, and start trying to do some catch up here, then we're not going to see the big matchups that are going to keep Magnus from winning 9-0. So I think there's a very reasonable chance, guys, that we see a 9-0 here from Magnus. I think Wesley has more or less secured his draw. There's no way to break through here. In fact, you can even play the move A6, but I think Wesley has demonstrated that he actually is the only one playing for a win in this position, because he has the potential to play the move F5, and White hasn't really got anything here. We might just see a repetition, but Black is the one playing for anything, if at all, because these pawns are neutralized over here, guys. This is 3 pawns holding back 4 pawns, so MVL really let this endgame slip, in my opinion. Black is the one playing for the king side now. So Wesley So, if he wins, that's very big. He's got 4 points right now. He needs this win to catch up to Magnus. I think that's without a doubt. What are we waiting for? Where is this move? What are we waiting for here? I wonder why he doesn't want to play that. So takes. Maybe a move like this. You always have king d6 or knight e7, so it looks safe. Is he just teasing here? Is he going to play back? Yeah, he does. So bishop a4. Yeah, but now how do you play f5? It's not so easy. Now it's not so easy. King d7, bishop c2, and now king e6, bishop a4. And we might see a repetition there. Interesting. Okay, it's weird to me that he's not too worried about f5. And I'm kind of wondering why. I think he's going to do nothing, maybe. Just sit there and let f4 happen. He's going to take. I don't know. This seems like definitely possible for Black to win. And Wesley here has got a huge time advantage. MVL has like 6 seconds counting down. Black just takes this pawn, plays knight d6, h5, g4. You got to be so careful here not to lose with White. I think MVL should have been going for a draw. Jeez. h5, yeah. Bishop g6? No. I think bishop g6 was important there. Bishop g6? I think Wesley should be trying to play for a win, but I'm not getting the ambition vibe. I don't feel like he wants to do it. Knight f5, king f3, and the move c4 is coming, but the knight is attacking d4 at the moment. Guys, I'm just not sure if MVL is clear which result he's playing for. So he's bringing the knight to f6. MVL looks like he's clearly asking for a draw by just repeating, but the knight on f6 covers h5, and now the king can march over to c6, b6, a5, and we do see the move c4 before that can happen. This looks more and more drawish. King e3, king e7, bishop c4, king d6, bishop f7, maybe a draw like that. I don't think that White is going to lose this one anymore. Yeah, king e3, and if Black wants to create a pass pawn, that's fine, but there doesn't seem to be any way that this position will be losing. He's trying though. I respect that. So king e3, king b4. What is it? Bishop e2, bishop e6, much better, of course. And king there, then you really risk letting the pawn run. You have to be careful with that. And notice how White is not playing d5. Black wants the dark squares with king c5, so he's not going to let that happen. Bishop e6, do not play knight d5 and lose the game there. King b6, Wesley wants to win. Look at that. He has declined multiple draws in order to play for a win here. King d6. King b6, no. I think he's going for a draw now. but you have to at least admire the effort. Wesley So from a worse position, it looked like. Maybe he missed a tactic earlier, I'm not sure, but he was never down material, and he was always way up on the clock. So he actually ended up pressing in this final position, but couldn't come out with a victory, and neither could MVL. So guys, what does this mean for Magnus Carlsen? He's sitting on 6 out of 6, and MVL's now at 5 points, and Wesley So at 4.5. So he's just closing out a huge lead over the competition now. He's got Yevgeny Levin at 5.5, Eltaj Safarli also at 5.5 that he has to be very careful of. But other than that, he really doesn't have to worry about some of the top guys in this tournament, it looks like. I wonder why he's not playing G4. G4, bishop takes, and then E2. Wait, hang on a sec. Why not G4? I guess I'll keep following the game, but G4, bishop takes, and then E2, king takes. I mean, G4, I might play king E2, but then king G3, and looks like it's also winning. So maybe he's just getting more time on the clock, but where is G4 here? No, hang on a sec. Are we missing something? Oh, is that really nice? Yeah, guys, that's really nice. Guys, look at that. King takes F4. And now if E2, G3 check. And if the king moves, bishop takes, and then takes on E2, and that is a losing position. Ooh. I don't think anybody saw that. I see a lot of people suggesting king E2, but no, that doesn't work. G4, king takes F4. Even if you insert bishop B8 check, when my king's on F4, king takes E3, and you're losing all your pawns there. So G4, king takes F4 is actually really, really nice. And credit to both players who it looks like they both saw that. So actually, if you go for that, all of a sudden you might even lose by trying to play G4 there with black. So very, very careful not to play that. Was Jack Snipe, which I believe is Grandmaster Benjamin Bach from the Netherlands, and Grandmaster Yannick Gozoli Nuki from France playing white. This looks like it's going to be the last game of the round here. Mostly just shuffling now. King F3, King E2. I don't think there's anything to play for, unfortunately. These guys are probably going to agree to a draw very soon, and we're going to get into what will be round 7. So only 3 more rounds to go. Magnus commanding lead on the tournament, just over the very strong players, but actually there's a few people chasing him, only half a point behind. But let's say some of the top players in the world who we definitely expected to do very well in this tournament are either probably too far behind Magnus to catch him, or just not in the top standings, which is good news for Magnus Carlsen. So let's get into it, guys. That was the last game of the round. Now starting round 7, and Magnus Carlsen against Eltaj Safarli. We have to take a look at this game. This is a very important game for the standings. Magnus doesn't mind giving up draws, but let's just take a moment, guys, and take a look at Magnus Carlsen's Blitz rating, 2990. I mean, he could hit 3,000 if he wins the rest of the games this tournament. That is certainly true. In Blitz, by the way, 3,000 in Blitz, that is unheard of. And it would be totally deserved if he went 9-0 in this tournament, because that's very hard to do, even for the best player in the world. So for the tournament standings, he's very okay with the draw here. Eltaj Safarli chasing with 5.5 points behind Magnus Carlsen at 6. So this is still anybody's game. If Magnus Carlsen loses, the floodgates open up. But 2990 is a pretty ridiculous rating. So let's see what he can do. Other matchups, we have Shimanov also closing the distance. A lot of people have 5 points, I'll say, in this tournament. Quite a lot of people have 5 points. Wesley So only has 4.5 out of 6. So he actually needs to win the rest of the games to even probably have a podium finish. But in the meantime, let's stick with this game of Magnus Carlsen's. Let me just check the opening. Okay, so Berlin. although not necessarily the main lines of the Berlin. But I think Magnus is quite versed here. We're gonna see knight e6 most likely. I'm not sure if there's another move than knight e6. Maybe b6, a6. Interesting. a6. And if bishop takes knight, of course we can take back and attack the queen. And if bishop takes here, then I guess we could take on b5. That seemed, oops, that is not a move that was played. That seemed a bit weird to me. Bishop takes c5 here. Is there, bishop takes c5, runs into this. Some queen move, and then if the queen takes, bishop a6. So that's what I was wondering about. Why wasn't that maybe a free pawn? So bishop e2, d6, and giving up the bishop pair was Eltaj Safarli, and Magnus Carlsen seems to have gotten the bishop pair every single game so far. I don't know how he does it. Are we going to see a queen exchange? I think that's almost forced. No? Well, okay, if not, the two bishops are very happy here. Basically, this is like a Berlin, except black got a chance to get castled, and these two bishops look favorable. White has the kingside pawn majority, but two bishops in an open position like this definitely got to be feeling good. Black's looking to play b5 next. White might play some sort of structure like this, but essentially rook e1 and bring the king to the center is what needs to happen. This pawn also looks potentially weak after rook e8 and maybe bishop f8 or something. So something, a little something for Magnus Carlsen, it looks like. I don't think he'll be unhappy with this position. Taking a look at the standings, it looks like Yevgeny Levin has agreed to a draw with his opponent. I'm not sure who it was actually, or maybe he won actually. He has 6 out of 7, so he finished his game very, very quickly. He's now tied for the lead, but of course there's still games to play. f4, f6, and we might just see an equal position. I always prefer the two bishops. But now that I'm looking at this, aren't there a few tactics here? Yeah, g4 is the only move, I think. And will we see... No, not bishop c8, because then that's a hanging pawn. But takes, and... Okay, this might be just a boring draw. Not necessarily boring, but definitely quick. Takes. And there's... No, he's not going to play rook d8. Is he? Is he going to play rook d8? Actually, he could. Rook d8. And rook d2. Oh, he's not going to. Okay, I think we might see a draw offer fairly soon. Or Magnus might play it on, because he will win this pawn on e5 by playing king e6. But the reason that I'm saying it should be a draw is... that's a bit... Yeah, now the reason I'm saying it should be a draw is because you can be down pawns in these opposite color bishop positions, and it's still drawn. So this one looks like it's going to be a draw, and then Magnus moves to 6.5, still in the clear lead in the tournament. Nobody can catch him, I believe. Yeah, I believe that was Sapochnikov and Levin who agreed to a draw. So nobody can catch Magnus in terms of points for going into the next round. And maybe he's pushing slightly, but of course this should be a relatively routine draw. Do you take on b4? Take on b4 and play b3. And then bishop e4. Okay, well, let's check out another game, guys. I have the opinion that this should be a draw. And if I'm wrong, then I'll definitely have to go back to that game. Let's check out MVL. BS86, I actually don't know who this Grandmaster is, but he seems to be in a better position against MVL. Just rook takes e6. Let's check what happened in the opening. There we go. I was going to say there must have been some fire on the board. Knight takes e6, queen g6. Ooh, long castle and queen h5. And then it looks like some good work by Maxime to somehow trade the queens off and just really get back into this game. What I'm looking at right now, guys, white's up a pawn in an endgame, but This game looks like it could have been over in the opening, maybe. Draw agreed in Carlsen's game. There we go. So Magnus retains his half-point lead on the rest of the field. Eltaj Safarli and Evgeny Levin are chasing with 6 out of 7 points. Only 2 rounds to go, though, so Magnus probably needs about 1.5 to claim victory in this tournament. So it won't be a 9 out of 9 performance by him, but there's potential for him still to break 3,000. I didn't see how much rating he lost for that draw, but I know that Eltaj Safarli is pretty high rated. JD Hooker Hikaru is not in the event. Is not in the event. White up a pawn here against MVL. Pretty nice position to be in. But like I was just saying, Black has done some tremendous work to make this position even playable from what I saw before. So King E1, chase the rook out. It's important. And rook F1, probably rook C8, King D2, we might check again and then go back to C8. And knight to D1, you also have to be careful of even losing. And this is a cute little arrangement of pieces. All we need is White's rook on E4 and Black's rook on E8, and then shift those pieces backwards 1 square. Whoa, that is not a move that was played. There we go. C4 was played. Bishop takes G2. Are we missing any tactics here? Maybe knight takes and rook G4. Yeah, that looks like the best. Knight takes and rook G4, and then depending on the move, you take this, or even better, if we can take this pawn, that would be fantastic. That is a weird move. Oh, I guess he wanted this rook F7. That seems deep. Actually, rook G4 seemed to attack the bishop and the pawn. That looks simple enough for me. Rook F7 and G5, so we gotta take this pawn now, it seems. Yep. Check or rook C2. Check. We can play king there, but he's deciding to play this, and king, rook C3. Check. No, that was weird. What just happened there? Maybe this is okay because you get this pawn, but Black's not even down a pawn here. Hang on a sec. Was this not possible? There's check, and then you bring the bishop back, and it's the same thing, but you're just not missing your pawn. There's this to think about, but we have the check here to cover, so I wasn't that worried about this. That seems a little bit strange from White there. I think that might have been the wrong thing to do, because now Black is really active, and I think Black easily has the draw here, and we're going to see moves like H5, H4, G4, Bishop F3, King F4. And that is how Black is probably going to try to play for a win here, guys. All of a sudden, it's maybe Black who's pushing. Interesting. Well, that's a pretty big turnaround from what looked to me like maybe White was up like a pawn or maybe even 2 pawns. KJU42, I agree. Very cool to see Magnus Carlsen playing publicly, first of all. Oh, you can take on G5 here, can't you? What? You can take on G5 and play rook G2 and rook F2. That seems weird. Oh. No, almost a tactic there. He's trying to win, which is good, but I don't think he's going to manage. Maybe G4? Yeah, it's great to see Magnus Carlsen here. His first time in a Title Tuesday. Not his first time publicly playing in online chess. We had the Blitz battle, but I mean, if you're playing in this Title Tuesday event, which I would like to, but it's very cool to be commentating as well, because that means I get to see all the games. If you're playing, you don't get to watch Magnus's games, and if you're not doing well, you don't get to play him either. So actually, you get to appreciate Magnus more when you're a commentator. Okay, so what should we do as White? I think take followed by rook here, cutting the king off, and pushing b6 is the easiest way to achieve what I think is a draw. Maybe use this pawn as a decoy, because I think leaving the bishops on the board, like, we can't push this pawn here. There's no way. Now black just moves his bishop back, gets his king up, and I think white is going to regret that decision. If here, bishop f5, and then we might be able to give checks and play g5, g4, h3. He's just going for it. He's pushing the g-pawn. And what are we going to play here? Bishop g2 as well, covers everything. Oh, g2 now. What about g2? Oh, this is winning. Rook g8, we can even take a free pawn here. Or rook g3 might, yeah, rook g3 might have been just a very nice move there. I think rook g3, although he knows he's winning here, so he's not too worried. Rook g6, king f7. So he's going to go there, and ooh, there's almost some very nice wins, but how does he finish this off? That's a good question. Okay, rook there. King there. But now rook check and rook g3. No, he can't do that because it's bishop g2 now. I think he missed his chance. Rook g3 was very clean. Now he's going to have to work a little bit harder. We could also see rook and bishop against rook if this endgame continues the way that it looks like. Rook c5, king b4. That's dangerous though. You can check and bring the rook back. Bishop back. Yeah, this was the problem, that your bishop needed to be here in order to stop my bishop from just moving back. And now I play h3 and it's just over. Just game over. Yeah. Oh, that's a nice nice technique from MVL there. Nice technique. Half crab. Half crab because you never see my hands. That's a fair comment. The camera angle is not very conducive to my lower body. Proof that I have hands, boys. Proof. No crab. Is this the last game? Chess Bra is the last game, guys. We're following along. Eric Hansen against Alexander Moskalenko. Eric's playing for the win here, it looks like. But I'm actually not sure. Maybe you have to be careful with a few things, but it feels like black is kind of playing for the win. Maybe the most likely result is a draw. Eric is continuing to push here though. 20 seconds. Maybe if white's king gets black, then he can dream of trying to win. But I feel like only black can set things up here with the potential of a passed h-pawn, and the bishop and king work very well together.
Holy shit.
Oh my goodness. That is not only... Oh man, that's not only a bishop, but that might be the game right there. King takes h4. Remember, that's another check. G takes f5. And then takes... And now, well, I was saying that... actually, we shouldn't say this is necessarily over just yet. This is not over. You know, we have ideas, right? There's h4 king there. Remember, this is the last game of the round. Coming up next, guys, is round 8. And that means only 2 more games for Magnus. If Eric wants any chance of drawing, it looks like he has to keep this this king cut. But he's also low on time, so things aren't working in his favor here. I can definitely say that, okay, this, and then maybe try to push the pawn is an attempt, but there's going to follow with rook check, and we know this is losing, so the king has to come back, and unfortunately just bring the king back to g2, and that's going to be enough for white here. Yeah. And that is what it looked like only black was pressing, but then at the very last second, this is resignable. That's the last game of the round, guys. Breaking news, Lawrence Trent is going wild. Well, that's the benefit of actually having me do the commentary, is that you get an inside look at exactly what goes on in the Chess Brawl cave here. You know, that's some raw chess emotion right there. So guys, we're into round 8. we're into round 8. Glad that Lawrence Trent is in the audience and enjoying himself. As we do see the raw chess emotions coming out. Magnus Carlsen, who is he playing? Yevgeny Levin. And we might not even see him matched up against Wesley So. And this is what I was expecting, guys. There's only one more match after this, and we haven't seen other people keeping up the pace that Magnus Carlsen is setting here. We haven't seen anyone keep pace. Yeah, that was an unfortunate game, guys. Unfortunate game. Magnus here playing what looks like Queen's Indian. Yeah, Queen's Indian. Knight e4. With the tournament situation with Black here, I'm sure that he's okay with a draw, although he's definitely not playing for one, let's say. But a draw would be a completely fine result for Black here. He would have White going into the last round with very good chances to play for a win. So we might see takes and Bishop e4. Bishop e4 is a standard idea in these kind of positions. You put the bishop there, and I think it might be a little too early for what I'm suggesting, but the idea is to put the bishop there, and then it means that if this knight ever moves, you're happy to trade, and it stops White from playing e4 permanently until that happens. So are we going to see knight d7 or f5? f5 is the way to really prevent e4, so now we're going to see takes and knight d7, it looks like. Knight d7 and knight f6. Doesn't look like that much to complain about, but after knight d7, White is going to play e4, bring the knight to f4, play rook e1, and target e6. So, not so simple. Not so simple, guys. e5, we can even take, and the queen has to take back because of queen d5 check, actually, in the air. Oh, sorry. And thank you for telling me. Screen is off center. My viewing experience, not like this. Thanks for telling me, guys. That's why I read the chats. That's why I read the chats. There we go. Should be fixed. What was cut off? The A file. Not too much happening on the A file, I promise you that. At least there's nothing happening on the A file. Magnus a bit defensive here. A little bit defensive. Knight f6, well, let's say Magnus's position is totally fine, but the first time we've actually seen him a little bit on the defensive here. Rook e7, rook e8 might come next. Rook e7 is a nice move, defends c7 and defends e6. I believe that's going to be what we see. g5, hyper aggressive. Knight back to g2, and then maybe rook e7. I think that Magnus still wants to potentially double up, but g5, he's going for it. Magnus, I don't think has been down on time in any game that I've seen so far. So that seems pretty like a very good rhythm to keep. So that sometimes people have different games. I know sometimes I can play a great game where I'm way ahead of time compared to my opponents, but it seems like Magnus is just doing that consistently. And it's almost like a rule he makes for himself that. You know, I think I heard Bobby Fischer say that, you know, whenever your opponent makes a move, try to think for the same amount of time as him. And if Magnus Carlsen is the best player in the world, you know, there's not many positions where other people can think about the best move or what the best move would be and find it faster than Magnus. He simply knows the most variety of positions in the world. So he's the one trying to open up the king side here. And White plays for the queen side with c5. And this endgame looks a little bit better for Magnus after takes. There's a nice outpost on d5 for the knight. King comes to f7. White does get the c-file, but the knight covers this pawn, so now Black can shift his attention to protecting d6. So that is if White switches the knight there. I think knight f2 is a good move here. Knight f2 and knight e4 threatening both of those pawns. King is probably going to come to f7 and then e7. Oops, sorry, knight f2, knight e4, and then maybe rook g8 or g4 to defend that. So I think king e7 is going to be the next move here, and then perhaps g4. King e7 and g4. Oh, rook g8 is possible too, but then there's also rook c8, so I'm not sure. Not sure if that's the best course of action. g4, I like that, because if f4, all of a sudden the light squares there are noticeable. White is doing totally fine here. We're going to see a3 and maybe bring a king to d3. But I don't think Magnus is unhappy with his position. Even trading knights with something like knight f6 if that can happen, is definitely favorable for black. I mean, in a rook endgame or something. The reason that white would have the advantage here is if he keeps the pieces on the board and stays in this, not middle game, but endgame with a lot of material still left. Knight g5, try to keep both pairs of rooks on the board. Bring the king to d3 with, of course, the move a3, so we don't blunder our rook. Magnus has to deal with knight g5 now. What is he going to do about that? I wonder. The knight can always come to c7 to defend that, but it's very passive. It's very passive. What is he going to do here? There's no knight f6. What? Oh, is he going for activity here? Is he going to play rook c8? Oh, excuse me. I thought he was going to play rook c8 and give up that pawn. I was a bit confused for a sec. But he found a nice way to regroup. And knight c7? Yeah, okay. Wow. Nice way to regroup there. King d7, rook e8, and he doesn't have to really displace any of his pieces or put them on bad squares. That was, in my opinion, guys, that was a really nice maneuver there. I didn't see that one coming at all. Now that the e-pawn is protected, time starts to become a factor, and we might see black continue to push with b5, b4, bring a rook up to b5, and maybe swing it over to d5 or f5. The question is whether there is some draw here with knight d5, knight g5. I think white would be happy to go for one at this moment. Maybe knight g5, knight c7? Well, knight c7 is forced here, actually. Unless he wants to do what I was mentioning last move, which is the possibility of playing rook c8, giving up a pawn, but that just doesn't seem feasible. You can't play this move. You're going to lose this pawn, it looks like. Oh, I was going to say, unless he plays rook there, knight check, and then knight takes h5. Actually, the knight might get trapped there. It looks like this way, king e7, knight e4, and he wants to put the knight back there, and then Magnus wants to defend with rook to h6, it looks like. Complicated game. I feel like Magnus has a draw in hand if he wants it, but it looks like he's really trying to play for the win. The question is whether he's going to admit that he either does or does not like his position enough to not play on. But I like rook h6. I was going to say is f5 a move there, but there's no good discovered attack with the knight. Now this pawn is defended. There's no knight h7 like last time, but there is this move. Oh man, he played that so fast as well. Because if pawn takes, let me just show you guys what was in the position there. King there. Let's say rook to c1 is crushing with knight e6, and king here, rook c1 wins the knight. Back to the live position here. After Magnus played rook to e8, rook c1 was played, with the tricky idea of takes, and rook takes e8, winning. Now the time's getting very even. This is the first game that we've seen Magnus Carlsen in real trouble. So guys, pay attention to this one, because this could be one of the only games that Magnus Carlsen has an actual chance to lose, a real chance to lose with black. What do we play here? Is d5 a move? Ooh, what do we think about d5? Is that an idea? It might be a little bit too crazy, but it kind of looks cool. Yeah, d5. d5. This is what I was saying, because if pawn takes, the same tactic is there. Black has to play e5, and now are we going to see a nice move, knight e4? Knight e6. Okay, knight e6, knight takes d5. And what was his idea here? Rook d2, but then... Ooh, this is very nice. Knight f6, rook check, king back, and maybe rook takes d6. So, ooh, gives up the exchange, but unfortunately you're also losing the d6 pawn. Oh man, guys, Magnus Carlsen down on material and ahead slightly on the clock, but you have to feel that this is definitely winning for white. It comes down to whether this knight, which is absolutely the best piece in a time scramble, is going to be a problem or not. Rook e1 followed by rook b3 looks like a very devastating threat. So black doesn't have any time to generate counterplay. Yeah, rook e1 is actually just a crushing move here. Ooh. Gotta play king d4, but then rook here, and the knight has to move, and there's rook d1 at the end. So yeah, white is gonna get the rooks off here. Oh! Oh my goodness! That is actually just a free night. Magnus just hung a piece. It happens to the best of us. It happens to the world champion. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Guys, well, Magnus Carlsen just went down to Yevgeny Levin from Russia. A very well played game. And it looked like Magnus could have had a draw. And I think he was trying too hard to have his position, maybe a little bit worse, but then try to play for a win and outplay his opponent. But we saw that happen maybe to Nakamura early in the tournament. When the position is a draw objectively, sometimes you just have to take it, even though you want to beat your opponent. So maybe that creeped in here a little bit. Magnus tried to play subpar moves in order to keep the position going and not play for a draw. But a draw would have been a good result for the tournament. So, wow. Magnus Carlsen goes down here. He does hang a piece at the end, but let's be fair, guys. Even with King D4, King F2 is coming, and I'm sure that White can put that position away for the full point. So it's not like his mistake had a huge impact on the game, because I think it was lost in the final position. But okay, no excuses. That is a very big blunder for the world champion. Anna Rudolph in chat. Lawrence Trent. I've seen that duo in commentary for Pro Chess, which I really enjoy. So it's nice to see the pair of them in chat, enjoying what is definitely the strongest Title Tuesday I've ever seen or ever commentated. And as we go into the last round, this game is a draw. We're gonna follow one more game. There we go. Maybe this will be the last game of the round. But there's only one round to go. Let me update you guys on the standings, because this is going to get very intense. We have Magnus Carlsen dropping way out of the lead, 6.5 points out of 8. We have Eltaj Safarli, 7 points. Yevgeny Levin just defeated Magnus Carlsen, also has 7 points. And we have, who in the heck is Pedro Martinez, 91. 2338 from, I'm not sure, where are you from, Pedro? Spain. A FIDE Master, 2300 with 7 out of 8. That is a ridiculous score. Oh my goodness. Oh, what a result, or what a score for the FIDE Master there. Well, Magnus is not going to be happy with losing. I think he'll be okay with maybe hanging the piece, because where he's really going to be upset is getting into that position in the first place. He shouldn't be trying to play on when the position is maybe objectively a draw. So maybe that's going to be what he's kicking himself for, guys. In other news, I guess it's not Magnus's tournament to win anymore. Pedro Martinez, 91. I don't know who you are, but you have 7 points out of 8. I agree, guys. Vote for Pedro. Vote for Pedro. This is definitely a vote for Pedro, because I don't know who that player is, but what a tournament from him. We might have to spectate his game in the last round. He might be playing on board 1. There's 3 players with 7 points who are the favorites to finish top 3. And then we've got Alexander Shimanov, Benjamin Bach, Magnus Carlsen, MVL. We got JC Ibarra, Alexander Moskalenko. Just a bunch of people at 6.5 points. But it looks like the winning score is probably going to be 8 points, guys. As I predicted earlier on, this is a very tough tournament. 8 points out of 9 is a monster score, but you're going to need that in order to win this event. Okay, we have a few more games still going. Let's maybe stick with this one until the round is over. Looks like White is going to try to trick Black here. See if he knows what to do or how to probe here. But no, drawn by agreement. Maybe this one has been going for a while. I'm not sure. All right, that game is over, and there's only one more game left in the round. This is the last game of round 8 before we get into the money round, guys, which is going to be so exciting because Magnus Carlsen just lost the game. There's no way he finishes in first place. That is a disappointing result for him. But we'll have to see how the final standings look. Magnus needs to win his last round for a respectable finish from his for his standards, let's say. And here we're basically seeing a drawn position being played out here. This is the last game of the round. But the standings near the top of the table are very, very interesting. We would never expect Pedro Martinez to be ahead of Magnus Carlsen. I don't even know who did Pedro Martinez play in this tournament. That's crazy. Who did Pedro play? Maybe someone can help me out in the chat. Anybody following Pedro Martinez? He must have scored some big wins in order to get here, and it's not going to be Pedro. Sorry, it could be Pedro against Magnus. I can't remember if Eltaj and Yevgeny have played before. If not, we're going to see those two at 7 points play each other, and Pedro at 7 points is going to drop down and play Magnus at 6.5. That is a very likely result. Well, there you go. That could happen. And then we're basically seeing guys playing on here when they shouldn't. This is a draw that we're just waiting for, but might take a while to materialize. Not gonna be giving too much commentary on this one. We'll just wait for this to be over with the likely result of a draw, but we'll see. We'll see. Anything can happen. Pedro beat Anderson Silva. Pedro beat Anderson Silva. He beat Genghis K, Conrad Holt. Those are some big results, guys. That's pretty serious. Okay, what are we doing here? Oh, I hate when games go this long. Yeah. Okay, check. Someone claim a threefold. There we go. I don't mind long games, but when they've been a draw for about 100 moves, that is time to call it quits. Guys, the money round. Is it going to be Magnus Carlsen against Pedro? That's what I want to see. No, it isn't. I think maybe those two guys at the top have already played. Magnus Carlsen is playing Shimonov, but guys, we need to pay attention to two games in particular. Alexander Moskalenko here playing black against Yevgeny Levin. And the other game we have to check is Eltaj Safarli, 7 points, playing Pedro. So I'm just going to see how the opening goes in this game, and then I'm going to go to the next game. Making a draw for the guys in the lead is not a crazy thing. But I do want to check the other game because we haven't seen Pedro play at all. I don't know anything about this guy. 7 points and look at him go. Is this even a variation in the French? What is this? Knight e4? Isn't that just like a blunder? Pedro played okay, guys. Pedro played knight to e4, which to my knowledge is a questionable line. Like definitely not a move. And then he offered a draw to Eltaj Safarli. Pedro's a legend. Pedro is an absolute legend. Let's stick with this game and and see what happens here. If he wins, guys, vote for Pedro for sure. We need to start making the Napoleon Dynamite t-shirts. Thank you for the confirmation, Lawrence. This line is a little bit dubious, but definitely workable. Kind of like my coif, this mop top I've got up here. So it's kind of messy, but you know, the right guy can make it work, type of thing. We could definitely say that 94, much like my hair, it's not for everyone. But if Pedro can make this work, then you would say that, you know, that makes him look very good, because the variation might be a bit dubious. If Pedro can make it work, it's extremely impressive on his part. So I'll take the same compliment that, you know, if I can make this dubious hairstyle work, that must say something about me. So I'll take it, Lawrence. That's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment. And Pedro Martinez, speaking of making it work, now Eltaj Safarli offered a draw to Pedro. Decline it, Pedro. Say no. Say no. He said no. He declined it. He declined it, guys. Pedro is a legend. He completely equalized that of the opening. And now Eltaj Safarli offering a draw, and Pedro says no. Pedro says no. I love it. Well, basically the position I would say is more or less equal. I would slightly prefer white, perhaps, because the knight on g6 looks very bad to me. And the queenside majority is always nice to have in an endgame. Yeah, guys, the strategies from Pedro. Offers a draw early. Guy says no. Then the GM offers a draw later. And Pedro says no. What a beast. I don't like the knight on g6 here. I'll say that. But I'm also wondering... it's hard to really place an evaluation here. I mean, it's obviously just about equal. But black wants to play on. You got to respect that. Maybe c3 and king c2. Rook e1, of course, on the cards. But Pedro showing no mercy here. Another draw offered by white. Another draw offered by white. Are we going to see the decline? 3, 2, 1. Decline it. Oh, he didn't do it on my cue. Come on, Pedro. You going to take that draw? No. Pedro wants to play on. Let's go. Let's go, Pedro. Oh, this has given me some energy, guys. Seeing Pedro decline all of Safarli's draw offers. He's starting to reroute his knight. He's going to play maybe h6, knight e4, g5. He's going to trade one pair of rooks and not a second. Maybe f6. Stop knight e5. Yep. So I'm talking about Pedro. h6, g5. This pawn majority on the king side with the king's assistant is more workable than the queen side, because if black's pawns were all the way up here, then white could maybe start to probe against the weaknesses, but white's pawns are already very advanced. So black can start to play h6, g5, king f7 here, rook c7. Pedro is playing for the win against Eltaj Safarli. He's like, what is this? 500, more than 500 points an underdog. That is ridiculous. I've never even seen Vegas odds like that. Pedro Martinez. What a beast. A beast from Spain. This is pure entertainment. This is pure entertainment. I agree. It ain't over till Pedro says it's over. Pedro says no. I like that. I'm going to start chanting that every time I see a draw offer. Pedro dice no. El Pedro dice no. Pedro says no. Okay, we got some shuffling going on. Maybe he's just catching up on time though. We'll see. I don't expect Pedro to go for a draw. Rook e2? Oh, come on, Eltaj. You know you want to draw. It's all up to Pedro. Pedro says yes or no. King e7. I like h6 and g5 though. I want to do that plan. King f7? Oh, this is a repetition. Okay, there we go. The draw is on the table. That's crazy though. Let's take a look at the other game, guys. Let's quickly go to Yevgeny Levin and Alexander Moskalenko, because if Levin as white wins this game, then he wins the tournament outright. There's nothing that anyone else can do about it because of that draw. 7.5 for Safarli and for Pedro. And everyone else is still playing here with 6.5 points, but nobody can catch 8 points. So if white wins, there's your tournament victor. There is your tournament victor. Pedro is from Spain, like David Anton, yeah, who gave Hikaru a run for his money and played an amazing tournament in Gibraltar, but it looks like Spain won't be taking that many championships away. Not this time. We have Naka taking Gibraltar ahead of David Anton, and it looks like someone else is going to take first place in this tournament. Just to confirm, Pedro has the worst tie breaks than Safarli, so he will technically finish tied for some other place. Ooh, no, there's no rook c8. Okay. So the prizes, guys, just to remind you, are shared, but technically they use a tie break system to place these players ranked 1, 2, or 3. I think black is much better here. If white can get an outside pass pawn, then I disagree, but hang on. Did he just hang a pawn there? Moskalenko declined to draw, by the way, and then hung a pawn. I was going to say, with the pawn on a light square, then all of a sudden I like black because the e-pawn is running and there's some chances around the king, but maybe he just blundered everything. Oops, excuse me, not that arrow. Knight g4, and maybe e3 is coming and he's stopping that. e3 is still coming. Jeez, this is maybe not so easy to play with white. Queen d3, of course, attacking and threatening e3. Is queen f3 a move? I like queen f3. You can also play this, but then there's queen c4. So queen f3, and if queen c4, is there e3? Yeah, e3 looks good. Bishop takes, queen takes, with check, and you just keep your knight there. Well, e3, and then bishop e1, and then some king move. Maybe here. Even e2, actually. e2, bishop f2. Then we just got to do some calculation there. What should be played? Then you can start running your king. That pawn is very close to queening. Moskalenko once again declined to draw. Queen d1 he played. Ooh, and he's not playing here and going for the draw. But white, once again, if white wins, then he wins the tournament. If not, we may have a 2 to 3 way tie for first place at 7.5 points, guys. There's a lot of energy in the chat today, guys. This is a big viewership. What's up to everybody who's watching? We got Magnus Carlsen in the tournament. We had the most title players, like 3 or 4, maybe 5 people from the top 10 of the world were playing. Strongest title Tuesday I've ever seen. And Magnus Carlsen lost the game, so the hype has just been unreal. The hype has been unreal. Magnus has won his game, so he's at 7.5. But guys, Magnus has worse tiebreaks than Pedro. And JC Ibarra has just won, and he has 7.5 now, ahead of Pedro. So this is all coming down to tiebreaks, guys, about who is going to technically finish first, second, third. Although, a reminder that the money is shared. So, again, if white can win this game, he wins the tournament, but it's just feeling less and less likely. He's got 3 seconds. He's almost going to lose. Well, hang on. Oh, no, there's mate. Oh, he blundered mate. Oh, man, he blundered mate. Oh, that's too bad. Yevgeny Levin. Poor guy. He does not even finish close to the money. As Alexander Moskalenko moves to 7.5 points as well. It looks like the standings are going to finish unless someone else has some very, very good standings. There's only one more game, I believe, that can impact the standings, and let's take a look at it. It's the game of MVL. Both players at 6.5 points. 7.5 is the leading score right now. MVL with black playing for the win. This looks like it could be a draw, but I would say black has all the chances to win this game. Okay, maybe queen b2, and can we really avoid all the checks here? a2. Yeah, and basically it's just going to be a hunt for that king. Can he escape the checks? Well, certainly not this way. No, now he's just drawn. Oh no, king there. Check, and now king up. Is there anything here? What if we block? Check. King back, and then just queen. What's that move? Just queen. Ooh, at least we had to keep checking. Okay, this is just over. Yeah, no queen h4 mate. That was the last trick. Ooh, that puts MVL into contention, guys. Let me check the standings. Ooh, unfortunately his tiebreaks were not very good. Eltaj Safarli, guys, best tiebreaks in the tournament. He finishes first place, 7.5 out of 9. And second is going to be Alexander Moskalenko with that victory. His opponent, Yevgeny Levin, hung checkmate in one move. And JC Ibarra looks like he's going to take third. But remember that there's going to be even Magnus Carlsen as well sharing the money. And Pedro Martinez and MVL. The money does get shared, but for the purposes of the standings you're going to see on your screen, it looks like Safarli, Moskalenko, and Ibarra. And we'll wait for the final couple games to finish in this event. But this has been an absolute roller coaster. Magnus lost a game, which no one could ever expect. Ooh, king takes e5. What a horrible blunder. Oh, man. Yeah, Magnus lost a game, and he did not finish on the podium, which he's definitely not going to be happy about. Other highlights, I mean, we had an FM 2300 finish tied for first place, which is completely ridiculous. Great tournament by him, 7.5 out of 9. And I'm not even sure if he lost the game. I think he may have just, I think he just drew his way to 7.5 when he won and drew. So that's a big result right there. And other than that, we had some of the most strongest tournament, some of the most title players I've ever seen in a Title Tuesday. So on top of that, the numbers have just been insane. Well over 1,500 viewers watching. So thanks for everybody who stuck around for this long and hopefully enjoyed the commentary. This has been a super exciting tournament. Again, I wish I could maybe play, but it's also very nice to commentate, because when I'm playing, I would miss the games that Carlsen and the other guys are playing, and when I'm commentating, I get to look at everything. So that's really nice. That's really nice as well. Hope everyone enjoyed here. It looks like we're waiting for this one game. Maybe there's another one to finish before the standings pop up on your screen. This looks like it's going to be over in a second, but the standings are already confirmed. This the 1, 2, 3 is already done. There we go. White gets a new queen. This one's over. This one is over. Standings are already determined. We're just waiting for all the games to finish for us to move on to the standings. This is the other game that's still going. Ooh, rook against knight. This one could go for a while. But yeah, basically the standings are already done. So quite a lot of players tied for first, which was 7.5 out of 9. This was a very entertaining tournament. We had Naka in there at the beginning, Caruana as well, and there was only one survivor. We had Wesley So playing for the first time in a Title Tuesday, as far as I know. Magnus Carlsen playing for the first time. Just the strongest event that you could ask for, and on top of that, we had an FM finish ahead of Magnus, finish ahead of Wesley So. Just crazy stuff happened this event. So this was by far the most fun I've had commentating a Title Tuesday for sure. Anna, thanks so much. Lawrence Trent, thanks for being here as well in the chat, and everybody who's on chess.com/TV as well as twitch.tv/chess. Remember, guys, there is no late event. There's no early and late. There's only one Title Tuesday. So this was it. This was the big event. So don't be showing up later tonight and wondering where I am, where the Title Tuesday's at, because there's only one event for today. And this was it. There you see on your screen Eltaj Safarli, Alexander Moskalenko, JC Ibarra, gold, silver, bronze. But like I said, Magnus Carlsen, MVL, and Pedro did as well share the money in this tournament. So 6 players tied for first. Very exciting. I hope you guys enjoyed. That will be all from me. International Master Aman Hambleton. I had a blast. There was more people than I've ever seen watching a Title Tuesday before, and definitely the strongest one I've ever commentated. So I had fun, and I will see you guys for the next Title Tuesday next month. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time.